Well, I've got the joints set up here to match the character. And now what we need to do is generate the actual rig with the control objects. So I'll go ahead and select the rig, and I'll come over here to the armature panel, and I'll scroll all the way down, and right here let's click on generate. And there we go. Now we've got a rig with all its hierarchies and parenting, as well as all the control objects based on the rig that we modified to the character. Now, the rig we modified is called meta rig, so I can go ahead and hide that by clicking on the eyeball. And here is the actual rig. Now, I'll press Z, and you can kind of tell, you can kind of see what's going on in here. These ball controls here are the stretchy controls, so those allow you to stretch the limbs. And you've got FK and IK controls in here as well. But here, let's go ahead and bind the character to the rig so we can see how it moves around. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and select the character, and in addition I'm going to select the eyes because I want to bind the eyes to the rig as well, since those are separate objects. So I'll select all of those, and then I'll press Shift and click one of the controls of the rig. Now to bind the character to the rig, we just need to parent it. So I'm going to press Control P, and now we've got the Set Parent menu. And I want to set parent to the armature deform with automatic weights. So if I click this, it doesn't really appear that anything's happened. However, if we select one of the controls and switch it from object mode to pose mode, now I'm going to press R twice to rotate, and now you can see we've got the head bound to the rig, and it's really a pretty good bind. It even got all of the ears, so I mean that's pretty good. I'm going to press the N key to bring up the properties panel over here, and if I scroll all the way down, we can see we've got these rig layer buttons. And what I want for this character is I want both the legs and the arms to be inverse kinematics. In the last series I did, we set up IK for the legs, but we used forward kinematics for the arms. So what do I mean by IK and FK? Just real quick, let me turn the meta rig back on just to talk about this for a minute. Forward kinematics means that the rotations are happening on a chain forward down the hierarchy. So if I wanted to move this leg, let me turn this off for once again, and I'm going to take this and go to the rotate tool. So forward kinematics would be I would rotate the leg like this, and then I'd maybe select this part of the leg and rotate the leg like this. So I'm moving the leg by going forward down the chain. All right, let me undo these. Now for inverse kinematics, what that allows you to do is select a control down here at the base of the chain, and as you move it, the rotations or the control happens inversely up the limb. So if I selected this foot IK, I should be able to hit the G key and move the leg around, but I can't. Let me show you what I mean. If I hit the G key, it doesn't do anything. So what we need to do, since I don't want to use FK for the arms or the legs, I'm going to turn off FK over here, the arm L and the arm R, and I'm going to turn off FK for leg L and leg R. Now that I've done that, and I've got this foot IK selected, I'm going to drag this slider, the influence here, from FK over to IK. Now if I hit the G key and move it around, you can see I can move the leg and even stretch it way out like that. All right, so let me do that for this other leg over here. Select that, slide that over. I'm going to select the hand IK. Now while I'm here, actually I can't see this control through the character. So what I can do is come over to the object panel and choose X-ray, and now I can see all of the control objects through the character. So I'll take the FK IK slider and drag it over, and I'll do the same over here. So now we should be able to grab that control and hit G and move the arm around, and that looks pretty good. Same thing over here. Grab that control and move it around. Yeah. And we can even rotate it here as well. And in addition, we've got our IK controls for the legs. Now I can grab this torso control, and now I can move it down, and he can kind of do the squats. So that's how we can set up the IK chains for the character's arms and legs. Now, all of these pieces here, you can see if you select one, these are kind of stretchy controls, and I don't think I'm going to be using those much, if at all. And in fact, I think I'd like to hide them. So I can come back over here and go to the armature panel, maybe scroll up a bit, and these controls are on these different layers here. So if I select this one, I can see that it's on this layer, so I'll shift select that one to hide those. Maybe I'll select this one, and I can see that that's that layer. Shift click that one. Select this one, that's the layer here. And I'll select this one, and it looks like that's the layer over here. So I can hide those controls so they won't be in my way, because I don't think I'm going to be using any of the stretchy functionality for the rig. So quickly, the way these controls work, we already tested the head. I can press the R key twice, and it kind of gives you a free rotate, which is kind of nice for the head. And for the neck here, you can rotate it back and forth like this. Now you can see that the jaw is kind of coming along with the rotation of the neck here. So we're going to need to work on the weights for that. So keep that in mind. Let's test this one here. I'm going to hit R and rotate that, so you can see that's the shoulder, and that looks pretty good. We can rotate it forward and back. This control here is your torso, or they call it the chest here. I'm going to hit R twice and rotate that around so you can see what that does. And this one here is the pelvis, and if I take this and move this box down a bit so we can squat, you can see that he kind of does the hula dance there. Nice moves there, guy. These controls back here are for the elbows, and these here are for pointing the knees. So if you're using IK and you move, say, the arm around like this, you may want to point this elbow in another direction. Say you want it to move down here or out like that. In terms of the hands, these are pretty slick here. You can just select this control and hit S for scale, and as you scale it in, the two joints at the end of the finger curl in. This control right here controls the roll of that first joint, and this control over here on this side, let me just select that and I'll zoom in to here. This control allows you to rotate and kind of splay the hand out a bit, adjust that pinky. As I mentioned, these are for the knee control or knee direction. You can use those to point the knee where you need them to be. So if I moved this leg up like this, let's say, and I wanted the knee to point out more this way, I could do that. For the feet, you've got the toe control right here. That allows you to bend the toe up and down. But you also have the foot roll control at the back. And this allows you to roll the foot up on the ball of the toes there and roll the foot back onto the heel. So that's a nice foot roll rig that they've added for us here. And then finally, the master control allows you to move the entire character and place it within the scene. Now, I would not recommend, if you have a character walking or moving or jumping through the scene, I would not recommend animating this control. This, to me, is really used to place the character in the scene at the beginning, and then use the rest of the controls to move it around. Now, as a game character, we'll be doing just about all of our animation right here in the center of the grid. He'll be idling and running and jumping all here in place in the center of the grid. Well, I have to admit, I'm very impressed with the bind of the character here. I really like the results, but we still are going to have to do some work to tweak how certain parts of the character deform. Like I think this control here pulls the belt buckle out and in through the belt. So we're going to have to work on that. So there's some tweaking we're going to need to do to the weight to get it to look correct. So that's what we'll be working on in the next video.